Hello, everybody. Welcome to the lunch table. Today, it's just me and Joel today. Today, we're going to be doing some off-season team breakdowns. We're going to be breaking down every team in the NFL, starting with the NFC, NFC North. That's what we're doing today. And we're going to keep kind of chipping away at these teams, but me and Joel today are going to be knocking off the NFC North, which is Lions, Packers, Vikings, and Bears. So lots to talk about there. But before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this video, and to stay tuned for all of the other offseason breakdown videos we're going to be coming out with as the offseason continues, as we're now in full swing with the offseason. We got NFL free agency starting here soon. The Combine will be starting here in a couple weeks. So starting to get in that off-season groove, and we thought, what better way to get into that mindset than kind of just talk about every team. Let's talk about the Minnesota Vikings. They got some questions that need to be answered. But the Vikings, they went 7-10 this past season, missing the playoffs, and majority of that was due to Kirk Cousins suffering a torn Achilles in Week 8, which kind of derailed their season.
Because it was right during that time that they were starting to turn it back on.
Yeah.
After a slow start.
Mm-hmm. And, I mean, Justin Jefferson missed a couple games, but, I mean, when he was there, he still
managed to go over 1,000 yards.
Yeah, he was still the best receiver. But, yeah, when you have a quarterback room of Josh Dobbs and Jaren Hall, really not much you can do. So it's kind of just a throwaway season.
But they kept games competitive at the end too.
They did,
which was impressive.
Yeah. So I'd probably grade them like a C minus.
I'll give them that B minus for me.
Yeah, just based on circumstance, like it was out of their control, but I mean, underwhelming season to say the least. But,
yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's pretty in that range.
That was kind of the MO of the NFL this year. Is a lot of teams just kind of seasons got derailed by quarterback injuries. But
yeah, I agree. I completely agree.
Only so much you can do. But luckily for them, they have $41 million in cap space, which ranks 15th in the NFL. But one of their key free agents is Kirk Cousins. That's been a big headline. They also have
Danielle Hunter,
who's another big one. Dalton Reisner, guard, and those are the big couple of their big three. So their key free agent needs is if they do lose Kirk, quarterback, defensive edge help, defensive tackle, and they could use some corner help as well.
I think they could use some linebacker help too.
Yeah, because Jordan linebackers is a free agent as well. Plus, he's old.
Their linebackers struggled.
Yeah, and they have pick 11, so they got some things to work with. But
you'll just have to wait till we get to the draft portion because I got some interesting takes for this one.
All right. Well, who do you think they should either keep or cut?
I think I'm going to start off with cut. I think they should think about cutting Harrison Smith. Mm-hmm. He just really isn't performing to the level that we're used to. Like, don't get me wrong, he's good for that team, but it's just over the next 2 years. He's 35 years old already. Over the next 2 years, you can save $11.4 million this year and then $18.1 million next year. Like, I think it's something to consider. And
I agree.
I think it's just getting to that point, kind of like you did last year with Thielen. It's just time. It's just time to cut ties, in my opinion. But with that in mind, I'm just gonna go basic. I think you got to bring Kirk back. I think the off season is dictated by what they do with Kirk. Because if you're not going to bring back Kirk Cousins, then I'm changing my mind and saying you need to put your focus on Danielle Hunter. But I think right now at this moment in time, Kirk Cousins is the guy that you need to focus on because obviously that Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson connection is pretty elite. I can't believe I'm saying that about Kirk Cousins.
No, yeah, I would agree. I think bringing back Kirk definitely should be their number one priority, and not just because of the play that Kirk has had this last year and a half, but like you just mentioned, how much his connection with Justin Jefferson means. Justin Jefferson is extension eligible this offseason, but he said he's not going to sign it until they get that quarterback situation figured out. Because he's a really big fan of Kirk, and so like that's going to dictate whether they can really get an extension done. I don't think Jefferson's going to like
Well,
leave, but I think that's definitely a part to play in
and,
this.
and it's showing this one big detail in that not Kirk, but Justin Jefferson is their franchise guy.
Mhm.
Most teams you think about like that franchise quarterback or that franchise defensive edge rusher. Justin Jefferson is their guy,
Yeah.
which is and he's gonna get a bag.
Oh yeah. He's definitely
It's
yeah. He'll
it's
be the
gonna be
highest paid
insane.
receiver. But you got to keep your franchise players happy. So I think they
Yeah,
should do anything in their power to bring back Kirk. Because if I'm being honest, I think the position that their team is built, I think they're a playoff team when healthy. I think they're definitely a playoff team. That yes, they do have holes. I wouldn't say they're like a true contender, but I think the way that team is built, I think you're much better going into next season with Kirk Cousins than you would be drafting somebody if you don't re-sign him.
I agree.
And I think with Daniil Hunter, I agree. If they don't get Kirk back, I think he should be the number one guy that they should re-sign. But I think if they do bring Kirk, I think it's going to be tough for them to bring him as well because
I
he's going to want a lot of money.
I don't think they're gonna bring Daniil Hunter back at all.
Yeah,
I
because they were thinking he's been on the trade block for what 2 years now.
Yeah, it's been to that point, but he's such a good edge
Yeah,
rusher. He's such a good athlete. It's
yeah,
hard to like lose a guy like that.
yeah. I know. I mean, fifth in the NFL in sacks with 16 and a half. He's probably going to get a pretty big paycheck, which is well deserved.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, I don't know if that relationship is really what it once was. So yeah, I think as much as it sucks, I think they more than likely probably won't bring him back. But
Hmm.
um,
Excuse me.
who's somebody you're looking at that they should bring in from free agency?
Um, I'm gonna say this. I have a splash play, and then I have one that's I think is kind of realistic.
Hmm.
Which do you think I should start with?
Do a splash play. Go crazy.
I think they should go after Christian Wilkins from the Dolphins. You need help on the defensive line, and Christian Wilkins is a stud interior defensive lineman, and you need that help, especially for that team because they've struggled on defense a mighty amount. Bringing in an elite level defensive tackle like Wilkins, I think that's a game changer for them, and that I feel like that's a splash play for them too.
Yeah, that would he would fit perfectly with what they need. And yeah, losing to Neil Hunter, you need another big edge rusher or big defensive lineman, and he would definitely be that.
Do you want me to go
Who
with my
is
other one, or you want to go for the yours?
you go? Who is your other one you're thinking?
I mean, this one could also be kind of a splash play, I guess. Maybe not. He didn't perform nearly as well as what people thought he would do this year. And they have a need at running back because Madison really wasn't that guy. You have two options. You either stick with Ty Chandler or you go out and get somebody. And the guy that I think that they could/should go out and get is Tony Pollard. I think Pollard, and then you get that 1-2 backfield of Ty Chandler, Tony Pollard. I think that's a good backfield, in my opinion. I don't think Madison's that guy anymore. I think there was a lot of hype surrounding him last year, but I just don't think it's gonna fit for them.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think yeah, I don't think Madison was really what they thought he was going to be. They have Cam Akers too, right? But
They
he's
did, but he's a free agent now.
yeah, and he didn't do anything anyway. But yeah, Madison was disappointing to say the least. And yeah, I think if you want to make a splash to kind of fill out that offense, I think Tony Pollard would be a good guy to take a gamble on. Yes, he didn't have his best year this year, which means you could probably get him on a pretty decent contract.
But if you note, I was looking into something the other day, and it said from like weeks 1 through 8, Pollard wasn't 100%. He was playing with an injury. I forget exactly what it was.
Yeah.
And he was like, efficiency wise, like bottom in the league for in terms of efficiency. You go later on into the season, and when he finally was like diagnosed as being fully healthy, he was one of the best running backs in the league. So could play a factor. Um, I don't know.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase. He had the best game. I think it was week 8 when it came. They came off the bye. I think is when they had their bye. Week 7. They came back week 8, and it was the best game he had all season.
Yeah, well, I think if you can get him and he plays to how he did a year ago, I think you're getting a huge steal, and I think that's going to be a
You need a
big
guy. You need a guy to balance it out with. He's not going to be that top guy.
plus he's a great receiving threat as well in the backfield,
Yeah,
which would help probably
most
open up
definitely.
open up
Most
lanes
definitely.
for Hawkinson, Jefferson, guys like
Most definitely.
that. The guys that I'm looking at for fantasy wise, both are on the defensive line to be exact. First, I'll talk about kind of the same realm as Christian Wilkins would be, but um, I would say they should target Justin Matabuke from Baltimore. He
Yeah.
had a great season. He is a potential franchise tag guy, so not sure exactly who's going to be on the market or not. But he had 13 sacks, 33 QB hits. He just turned 26 in November, so he's young, and he was second team All Pro. So he had a phenomenal year. He's young. I think, kind of like you said it with Christian Wilkins. I think he's kind of that same realm of where Christian Wilkins is. He's a really dominant defensive tackle in the run and the pass, and I think that would be huge for them if they do lose Daniil Hunter. And then another player to replace Daniil Hunter, I think they could take a flyer on Chase Young. I think you give him a prove it deal.
Yep.
Um, yes, he was disappointing with the 49ers. He wasn't really who they thought he would be when they were trading for him, but I still feel like he has some stuff to him. Um, he's still super young. Um, but yeah, he has been injury prone and stuff. But I think if you give him a I think if you give him a prove it deal, be like to kind of get him back on track, I think that could be turn out to be a really great contract and a steal for them if he produces to a level that he's capable of and stays healthy. I think he could fit in perfectly as a Daniil Hunter replacement.
I that I like those two names. Very very good stuff. I completely agree with you. I mean, and you put it perfectly. I can't. I don't know how else to piggyback off that.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that the Vikings have always lacked in recent years is their defense. Their defense has always been underwhelming. It was better this year than it was the previous year,
Yeah,
but still not to where you can feel confident with them like in the playoffs.
I agree.
So I think getting some defensive guys is definitely a big need for them. But let's look at the draft. They hold the 11th pick,
Yeah,
and the draft, could go a couple ways, depending on whether Kirk is there or not. So
I'm gonna go based off of them first keeping Kirk, and I think with that being the case, you address edge, and you're more than likely the way this draft is going to shake out. It's a very offensive heavy draft.
hmm
You probably at 11 could get the best pass rusher in the draft. And in my opinion, that's a guy by the name of Dallas Turner from Alabama. I think it's a beautiful match made in heaven with, say, Danielle Hunter leaving, similar to how you just said that. I think this one just makes sense. Get the top defensive edge rusher in the draft and a guy that's proven that he can play. And from Alabama, why not? You want to go, and then I'll do my crazy?
Sure. So I'll also go, if they do bring back Kirk, I'm also going to go edge, but I'm not going to go Dallas Turner. I like Dallas Turner, and I like that pick, but I'm going to go with Jared Verse from Florida State. I think he's just a little bit more polished, and I think he kind of fits the timeline better for what the Vikings are looking for. He was going into last year. He was the top edge prospect,
Yep.
following 9 sacks, 17 TFL, 2022. But he's kind of fallen a little bit now. He's towards the mid first, but I think he can be a plug and play guy that can make a difference right away, just based on his age and experience and what he brings to the table. I think he shows he is elite at. He's very flexible. He's elite at moving off the ball. He's super explosive, twitchy guy, which is always somebody you're looking for at defensive end. He's got great power, great strength on the run, quick hands. He kind of fits what you're looking for as a defensive end. And I think he would be a great plug and play guy immediately for the Vikings. I think Dallas Turner has more upside because he's a little bit on the younger side. And we've seen flashes of what he can bring, but he hasn't all put it together yet.
Yep.
But I think for the Vikings, where their team sits now, I think Verse would be a good option to kind of start immediately and make an impact immediately.
I think those those are great points. I think it's 1-2. Those guys are definitely the 1-2 defensive guys in this draft. Easy. And I think I get where you're coming from, though, being more polished and everything along those lines. But at the same time, I feel like they definitely could take that flyer, though, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Easy. I think it's a coin flip.
Yeah, I wouldn't be upset about either. I think both are great players.
Yeah. So now we're going to shift a little bit.
Life without Kirk Cousins, right?
Life without Kirk. I have the Vikings trading up. But it's not to take one of the top 3. It's not to take Caleb Williams. It's not to take Drake May. And it's not to take Jaden Daniels. I have them trading up to take J.J. McCarthy.
What do you have them trading up?
I had the mock that I kind of went through. I had them trading up to, I think it was 6, if I'm remembering right.
With who's that? New York.
I think that's New York. It was either 5 or 6.
Probably 6.
I also could see 5 though too, because your top 3 guys are gone, and you want to make sure you get your guy over, because there's a lot of teams that need quarterback this year.
Yeah.
If to name a few, Denver, the Saints could probably even be in the market for a quarterback. The
Raiders,
the gosh darn it, Steelers. There's a lot of names that could be in contention for a quarterback. And if you don't bring back Kirk, you're really pushing for a guy. I know it sounds crazy to think J.J. McCarthy in the first round, let alone top 5 or top 6. But I think this is something that could potentially happen. And people may hound me for this pick, but I think there's potential there with J.J. McCarthy. A lot of it, too. He's got a really talented arm with big playability, big play upside. The big thing with him was with Michigan, they didn't have to throw the ball a ton. They were a run-heavy team. We all know that. But McCarthy was able to make the play when he was needed to make that play. And I feel that's something that, especially in the NFL, they tend to lean towards. You want a winning quarterback. And I think J.J. McCarthy has proven that he is capable of doing that. He's got a very large ceiling, and that's the reason why I think that they could potentially trade up to go get a guy like JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, I think off of like first glance, you'd be like, "Whoa, like that might be a little much." But I think like when you think of it realistically and then as a team perspective, top three are more than likely going to be quarterbacks as it's projected right now. You
Yep.
know, teams are going to be on the phones trying to move up to make sure they get their guy. And I think the Vikings, I wouldn't be surprised if they go
They
that route. They're like, hey, we
well,
really
and
like
they're
JJ, and we're gonna put our chips into them.
and the thing with their front office is they're willing to make that move. They've shown that they will be aggressive, even trading within division.
Mhm.
If they need to trade up, I feel like they are capable of trading up.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, there's a lot of unknowns with JJ McCarthy, but he also has a lot of traits that you love to see in an NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
Um, so he's kind of, yeah, he's a bit of an unknown, but I think if that pick hits, I think that would be a home run for them
Well,
for
and
sure.
that's the thing. Like with these drafts, every person in this draft has potential to be a boomer or a bust.
Yeah,
Especially this first round, everybody's got the potential to be a boomer or a bust. Like
yeah,
people may flame me for it, but I think JJ McCarthy could be that guy that they take that pick on.
yeah. I don't hate it. I think,
I think I would take the upside play in him over Bo Nix.
for sure.
Easy, any day of the week.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, I think JJ is going to be a top 15, potentially top 10 guy the way it's looking. So,
Yeah,
so yeah, I think that it's definitely something they could target.
I can't wait for Zach to see this and be like,
He's going to be,
what?
yeah.